To be the youngest of my father's 10 children, it's strange because he died when I was only 5 years old.
Peter Tosh, the renowned reggae legend, only second to Bob Marley, met a sad end before celebrating his Golden Jubilee. The icon, who doubled as a social activist, left a legacy that long outlived him. Have you ever wondered about the details of his tragic passing? Join us as we delve into the love and blood bonds he formed during his lifetime, the fortune he accrued, his abandoned house, and the tragedy of his passing. What you are about to learn will amaze you. At the age of 16 in 1960, Peter Tosh left Grange Hill, where he had been living with his aunt. This marked a significant change in his life, as he became solely responsible for himself from that point on. While finding his feet, he moved to Kingston, Jamaica's capital, and settled in the Trenchtown community. This was an area known for its high level of poverty and unemployment. He began selling sugarcane juice to make a living and to support himself. He continued this until he established himself in his musical career and eventually found his place within Kingston's town. Before his passing, the reggae icon acquired a housing property in Kingston, Jamaica's Barbican area, making it his home. This was where he met a tragic death. Thus, it is known to have memorable significance in the reggae world. The beautiful Story Building is on Plymouth Avenue in Kingston, Jamaica. Besides the memories held by the walls of Tosh's former home, what has become of the place he once lived? On the exterior, it looks just as beautiful and well kept. However, not much could be said about the interior. The neighborhood where the late reggae star once lived is well maintained and has recently experienced much urban development. Thus, it's unsurprising that the star's former residence also looks in good shape. There is scarcely any information open to the public about the state of the property and the internal affairs within it. Thus, the exact condition and current property ownership are unknown. No one knows whether the house was repurposed, renovated, or preserved after his demise. There's also the possibility that the ownership of the star's former residence has changed multiple times. A video by a news blogger shows the house's exterior to be in a commendable state. Besides his music skills, Tosh displayed a skill in his relationships with women. The late reggae star was known to have had many relationships. It's unsurprising to learn that he fathered about 10 children during his lifetime. He was involved with Shirley Livingston, a close kin of Bunny Wailer, one of his earliest music partners. She bore him, Andrew McIntosh, in 1967. However, their relationship had challenges. Some years later, he found love again and started dating Yvonne. However, their love was short-lived as they were met with a life-changing accident. In 1973, Yvonne lost her life to a fatal car accident, which also left Tosh with some severe head injuries. This struck the reggae star with a life-altering tragedy that left its mark on his life and music. Beyond the physical injuries he sustained, the pain and grief from the loss left him with a deep soul wound, which influenced his song, "Why Must I Cry" from the Legalize It album. Less than a decade later, in the early 1980s, his relationship with Andrea Marlene Brown began. At this time, Marlene was 21 years old and his common-law wife for 5 years. They were not legally married as husband and wife, but cohabited. Marlene played the role of a faithful wife even after his passing. She was a steady companion for most of Tosh's life. She witnessed his rise to stardom and fall to death in 1987. The events of Tosh's demise never left Marlene the same. In the years that followed, Marlene gave herself to the cause of preserving his legacy. In honor of the reggae legend, she established the Peter Tosh Museum in Kingston, Jamaica. The museum opened in 2016 on Tosh's 72nd posthumous birthday. It is a tourist center that houses his personal belongings and memorabilia. Amongst the things in the museum are his riffle guitar, his signature musical instrument, and his unicycle, which he used for most of his live shows. Marlene actively engages in events and initiatives promoting Tosh's music and message. Marlene's resilience and dedication have undeniably impacted Tosh's legacy.
I hold on to these reins to carry on his legacy, even though I don't have any memories of him.
Peter Tosh was a father to many children while he lived, and after his passing, they were part of his legacy. The number of children recorded on his account was almost a dozen. He fathered a total of 10 children with diverse women. Amongst them is Andrew McIntosh, who was born to him by Shirley in 1967. He also had Jawara McIntosh from Melody Cunningham, Aldrina McIntosh, Niambe McIntosh, the youngest, and 6 others. Niambe, his daughter, was particularly invested in preserving his legacy. After Tosh's demise, his estate fortune was to be shared equally among his 10 children, and Niambe, his youngest daughter, was responsible for paying the royalties as his estate administrator. However, in 2014, a lawsuit was filed where Aldrina McIntosh alleged that Niambe had not paid her other 9 siblings the supposed royalties for the past 5 years. In preserving her father's legacy, Niambe declared the 20th of April International Peter Tosh Day. This was in honor of Tosh's philosophy of responsible cannabis consumption for medicinal and spiritual health benefits. Surprisingly, Niambe, Peter Tosh's youngest daughter, is at the forefront of upholding her father's legacy because she was just 5 years old at the time of his demise and barely remembered him. She confirmed this during the opening ceremony of the Peter Tosh Museum. Amongst the reggae legend's offspring, Andrew and Niambe particularly carried on the flair of their father's legacy. Andrew established himself as a talented reggae artist like his father. Niambe, on the other hand, is an advocate for environmental and social justice challenges. Together, they preserve Peter Tosh's music, beliefs, and activism, inspiring future generations with their father's message. Jawara, one of Tosh's sons, was imprisoned in 2017 because of some illegal charges. While in prison, he was attacked by Khair Charanbaum, an inmate. This left him with severe injuries, including a brain injury that resulted in him being bedridden for a stretch period. After many health struggles, he eventually gave in to death in 2020. Steve McIntosh and Toby McIntosh were also children of the reggae icon. Steve is said to be Tosh's oldest son. The family of the late Peter Tosh was seen posing for a picture at Villa Ronai the following Monday after the reggae icon was honored with an Order of Merit at the King's House. Beyond the photo, this paints a picture of a family united by one man's legacy, regardless of their differences. Another occasion that proved this was the Peter Tosh Gala held in 2017. His family also appeared together in a photo. The legacy of Peter Tosh has survived many years, even after his death, because of the efforts of his children and Marlene. These sustained the significance of his impact and influence. Their efforts echo the message of peace, unity, equality, and empowerment that the reggae icon promoted during his life. After 42 years of living and about 2 decades of an impactful career, Peter Tosh met a sad end. On 11 September 1987, death escorted a gang of 3 men to Peter Tosh's residence on Plymouth Avenue. Tosh had just returned to his home on that fateful day after being away. Upon his return, 3 men came to his home on motorcycles demanding money. Tosh replied that he didn't have any on him then, but they did not believe him. They tortured him in an attempt to force a different response out of him. The robbers remained at his residence for several hours and tried various means to extort money from him. As the hours went by, a couple of his associates came by to visit him and were also taken hostage. Amongst the robbers was Dennis Loban, a chief thug also known as Lepo. He was an ex-convict whom Tosh was acquainted with and had tried to help find employment after his release from a lengthy jail term. Due to Tosh's continued insistence that he did not have any money in the house, Lepo and the other robbers were enraged and recklessly opened fire. During the shooting, Tosh was shot twice in the head, and this led to his death at the age of 42. The shooting left several others who were present with severe injuries, two of whom also passed away with Tosh. Herbalist Wilton Brown, known as Doc, and disc jockey Jeff Dixon lost their lives as a result of wounds sustained during the robbery. Several others who survived with injuries included Marlene Brown, Tosh's common-law wife at the time, Yvonne Joy, Free Eye's wife, Carlton Davis, Tosh's drummer, also known as Santa, and Michael Robinson, a musician. Herman Ricketts, a police commissioner at the time, reported that Loban surrendered to the authorities. The two other men were interrogated, but their identities were never disclosed as they were not publicly named. A trial was held for Loban in a closed court session because the case involved illegal firearms. Throughout his trial, Loban pleaded innocent, claiming that he had been drinking with friends and was not in his right frame of mind at the time he stormed Peter Tosh's house to rob him. But his pleas fell on deaf ears. Ultimately, he was found guilty by a jury which consisted of 8 women and 4 men, after which he received a death sentence by hanging. However, in 1995, his sentence was commuted to life imprisonment, and he remains in jail. The other 2 unidentified accomplices with him also bagged life sentences. The same year Peter Tosh died, the Jamaican government awarded him the 3rd highest honor for a Jamaican, the Order of Merit. This showed that his memory lives on, reminding many of the power of music to ignite change and unite humanity. Although the legendary reggae artist had passed on, he left behind his net worth and every fortune he had ever accrued during his lifetime. At the time of his death in 1987, his net worth was estimated to be $1 million. While this may not be much, the legacy he left behind was priceless. As a social activist and a reggae icon, his unrelenting commitment to justice, his addictive music, and ability to influence generations testify to the depth of his influence in the world. Some years after his death, another estimate of his net worth was determined to have been approximately $3 million. Considering his influence and impact as a musician and an activist, many preferred to accept his later net worth estimation rather than the first. Peter Tosh earned notable recognition during his career, including 2 Grammy nominations for Best Reggae Recording. His first nomination came in 1985 for Captured Live, a powerful confirmation of his energetic performances and deep-rooted message. This live album showcased his compelling stage presence and highlighted his commitment to social justice, revolutionizing how reggae was perceived globally. In 1988, Tosh achieved a significant milestone by winning a Grammy for his thought-provoking song, No Nuclear War. This track, rich with themes of peace and resistance against nuclear proliferation, resonated with listeners and critics alike. The win affirmed his influence within the genre and marked a notable moment in reggae history, emphasizing its capacity to comment on pressing social issues. Tosh's legacy inspires new generations of artists and fans, reinforcing the importance of providing a voice to the marginalized through powerful music. Besides his Grammy nominations and wins, he received posthumous awards and honors. The Jamaican Order of Merit is a prestigious accolade that recognizes individuals who have attained significant international distinction in various fields, including science, art, literature, and other notable contributions that elevate the human experience. In 2012, Peter Tosh was honored with this award, highlighting his influential role in reggae music and his broader impact on culture and society. Tosh, known for his powerful messages and advocacy for peace and justice, left an indelible mark in Jamaica and worldwide. His legacy continued to be acknowledged even after passing, as he received the Order of Companions of O.R. Tambo Award in 2023. This honor is bestowed by the President of South Africa and is reserved for foreign citizens who have notably advanced South African interests, particularly through cooperation, solidarity, and support. Tosh's recognition in this context emphasizes his commitment to social justice and human rights, as he often uses his music as a platform for activism. His contributions to global music, characterized by themes of resistance and empowerment, resonated in Jamaica and the broader context of the fight against apartheid and oppression. Receiving this posthumous honor further solidifies his influence as an artist who crafted a unique sound and championed the struggles of marginalized voices worldwide. The legendary reggae artist was born Winston Hubert McIntosh on the 19th of October, 1944, in Grange Hill, Jamaica. Growing up among relatives and finding his feet in life, he had a change of name that has stuck with him even after his death. The star was born to Alvera Coke and James McIntosh, who abandoned him as a child to be brought up by relatives. For about 20 years, he never saw or communicated with his parents. After his demise, several family disputes and controversies arose because of his death. One was between his mother and Marlene, his common-law wife. A bitter dispute stirred over his burial location as Marlene allegedly attempted to prevent his mother, Alvera, from interfering with the place and proceedings of his burial. Marlene had been planning to have Tosh buried at the Dovercourt Memorial Park in Kingston, but Alvera, his mother, insisted on having him buried in his hometown. For Marlene, it seemed rather irrational for Alvera to control the events of Tosh's burial because she was well aware of the strain in their relationship. When Alvera had approached Marlene the day after Tosh's death to discuss the funeral arrangements, Marlene vehemently refused to pay any heed to her. She outrightly reprimanded her for abandoning Tosh when he was young and ranted, saying neither she nor Peter Tosh liked or wanted to have her around. On the 23rd of September in 1987, Marlene was going about her arrangements for Tosh's burial when she received a phone call from the Prime Minister's office. On the call, she was told that she had no rights to make the arrangements for Tosh's burial, and as such, she was sternly instructed to hand his body over to his mother for him to be buried in his hometown of Westmoreland. The government eventually ruled in favor of his mother, and Tosh was laid to rest in his hometown. The funeral ceremony of the reggae legend and social activist was held on the 25th of September in 1987. The event lasted 2 days and was graced by 12,000 fans and friends who paid their respects as he lay in state. Peter Tosh wore a khaki suit, a white satin burial robe, and an African cap. His casket was designed in Rastafari colors in honor of his Rastafarian beliefs and practices. His final resting place was in Belmont, Westmoreland, Jamaica, where a mausoleum was built in his honor. Reportedly, Marlene was absent from his burial ceremony at his hometown, most likely put off by the government's verdict to have Tosh's mother have her way about his burial ceremony. Because Marlene Brown was not legally married to Peter Tosh, there was a limit to her claims on him. Thus, it was easy for Alvera to win the case over Marlene. The site of Peter Tosh's final resting place in his hometown has evolved into a place of pilgrimage. Many who admire the icon's contributions to reggae music, social justice, and personal life were allowed to visit his grave. Although dead, his memory lived on in the hearts of all who loved him. Despite his tragic end, Peter Tosh's legacy remains influential and memorable. One of the channels through which this is done is the Peter Tosh Foundation. This is an establishment with the mission of realizing the dreams of the reggae legend through educational partnerships and the empowerment of everyday people. The foundation is driven by initiatives that reflect Tosh's lifelong advocacy for fairness and human rights. Among many projects the establishment is engaged in, one that stands out is the Peter Tosh Town Initiative, which aims to support and uplift the Belmont Bluefields community in Jamaica, where Tosh was born. Although Tosh is renowned for his music and activism, he also has a rare talent he explored during his life. This was his skill of unicycling. After parting from the Wailers music band, he committed himself to mastering the skill and later incorporated it into his live performances. Riding a unicycle became a significant part of his unconventional and dynamic shows. This became a legacy, even after passing, as his unicycle was stored in his museum. In 1993, a documentary on Peter Tosh's life was released. It offered a closer look into his personal life, music career, and life events leading up to his death. The film got its basics from a series of spoken-word pieces recorded by Peter Tosh before his demise. A memorial near Negril in Jamaica was erected and is maintained by his family in his honor. It is also open to the public and fans. Many gather to celebrate his posthumous birthday with live reggae performances and fun activities each year. Tosh's impact on Jamaican culture and music is widely recognized and can hardly be forgotten. Andrew McIntosh, one of Peter Tosh's children, recorded an acoustic tribute in honor of his father in one of his albums. The album, which was titled Legacy, was released in 2010 with 10 recorded songs under its umbrella. Many years after Peter Tosh's passing, his legacy remains memorable and fresh in people's hearts. This further strengthens the fact that he remains one of the reggae world's and Africa's outstanding personalities. Peter Tosh's musical career, which blew him into the spotlight of fame and stardom, can be traced back to his youth. Growing up, Tosh was interested in learning the guitar, which sped up his learning and understanding of the process. The guitar became his signature musical instrument. He once watched a man play the guitar for about half a day, and when the guitarist had dropped the guitar, Tosh picked it up and flawlessly repeated the exact thing the man had played. He memorized the song and finger movements on the guitar chords by watching intently. When asked by the guitarist who taught him to play the guitar, he pointed back to the man asking the question. He also got entrenched in a local Christian church after he settled in Trenchtown. He sang in the choir there, learned to play the organ, and mastered the guitar. He also developed an early admiration for R&B and doo-wop as he listened to radio stations in the Caribbean, which were transmitted from the U.S. His musical passion was also fueled as he studied with Joe Higgs, a vocal teacher who offered free music lessons. It was during that time that he met Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer. His musical career began to fall in place as the three got acquainted with one another, forming a bond. This marked the phenomenal start of Peter Tosh's musical career and advancement. In 1962, Peter Tosh, Bob Marley, and Bunny Wailer began singing together, and Higgs taught the trio how to harmonize, so they often played on the streets of Trenchtown. Tosh had moved to Trenchtown after the death of an aunt he had stayed with around the time he was 15 years old. About a year later, in 1963, the trio officially formed a musical band named the Wailing Wailers. The band expanded as singers Junior Braithwaite, Cherry Smith, and Beverly Kelso soon joined the band. Initially, Tosh was the only band member who could play a musical instrument. However, the other members were inspired to learn as they observed him. Tosh established himself as a solo artist and a promoter of Rastafari. The band lasted until 1976, after which they split. Along with Bob Marley and Bunny Wailer, Peter Tosh got baptized in the Ethiopian Orthodox Church. From then onwards, his Rastafarian belief and devotion became even stronger. Although his career journey began in a group, he stood out as an artist because of his outstanding style of reggae. which was mainly influenced by his Rastafarian beliefs. As a solo performer, he used his music as a medium for social activism, advocating for peace, unity, and marijuana legalization. Albums like Legalize It were renowned and known to have promoted his cause, and his legacy remains even after his passing. To this day, Peter Tosh's music remains a source of inspiration to many. His message of unity, social equity, and empowerment remains fresh in people's hearts. The songs that bridge the gaps caused by cultural and generational differences connect people through their shared love for his music. Beyond musical inclination, he was a voice that echoed the struggles and oppression faced by many who did not have a voice to speak up. His musical lyrics provided comfort and hope for millions globally. Peter Tosh left behind a rich legacy of songs and albums that echo his name even many years after his death. His musical legacy began during his time with the Wailers, a band through which he became renowned in reggae music. Together with the Wailers, Peter Tosh released many musical albums, the first of which was the Wailing Wailers, recorded in 1965. 5 years after the debut album, in 1970, the band released a second album, Soul Rebels. The next year, 1971, Soul Revolution Part 2 was recorded and released by the band. Then came Catch a Fire and Burning in 1973. Peter Tosh's time with the Wailers music band shot him to fame, but he pushed even further as a solo artist, establishing himself in the reggae music world. Before their debut album, the band recorded a single hit, which was very successful and ushered in many more successful singles and albums. In 1964, the group made a hit release with the single Simmer Down, after which they recorded many more successful songs together. Judging by the success of their song records, all seemed to have been going well until 1965, when Braithwaite, Smith, and Kelso left the band, reducing it to a trio again. Not much was said about their leaving. However, the year they left, the trio released their first album. In 1970, when the group released Soul Rebels, Tosh, Bob, and Bunny had shortened the band's name to the Wailers from the Wailing Wailers. One of their songs released in 1973, Catch a Fire, was certified gold in the UK. The other song they released in the same year, Burn In, went gold in the US and silver in the UK. Following these, many other albums and singles that the group released gained global traction and recognition, including Get Up, Stand Up, and were inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame in 1999. While a trio band, the Wailers are known for their single releases like Stir It Up, Get Up, Stand Up, and I Shot the Sheriff. In 1974, Tosh and Bunny left the Wailers music group owing to some internal tension, leaving Bob Marley. The president of Island Records had refused to release Tosh's solo album to him. When Peter Tosh left the Wailers, he progressed to release his first solo album in 1976, Legalize It. Following his debut album, he released Equal Rights in 1977, Bush Doctor in 1978, and Mystic Man in 1979. He also released Wanted Dead and Alive in 1981, Mama Africa in 1983, and No Nuclear War in 1987. Following the same trail as the songs released by the Wailers, Peter Tosh's song gained global traction and brought him many awards. His first solo album, Legalize It, reached number 54 on the UK Albums Chart and 199 on the Billboard 200 chart. The album went platinum in the US and was featured in a book, 1001 Albums You Must Hear Before You Die. His second album, Equal Rights, surpassed the first, peaking at number 146 on the Billboard 200 chart. It was also certified gold in the US. His other songs and albums made waves in different intensities, with Mama Africa being the most successful on the Billboard 200 chart. The song peaked at number 59 on the charts. His final studio album before his passing was No Nuclear War, which earned him a posthumous Grammy. In summary, Peter Tosh made as much impact as a solo artist as he did while a part of the Wailers. His musical legacy remains etched in the hearts of his fans and history's record. What can you say about Peter Tosh's life? Feel free to air your views in the comments. Remember to hit the like button and subscribe. Before you go, click on the video displayed on your screen.